The center, defined as a focal point around which any object revolves. We, however, define the center to mean much more. It's where knowledge and ideas form a nucleus, where dreams intersect with possibility, a starting point from which your life can go anywhere. This is how we at Columbia Business School define the center, the very center of business. Here you'll find the center of opportunity, where world-class academics open doors to the world's most dynamic place of business, New York City. Come, learn at the center of knowledge, where top academic minds do leading-edge research on the latest business trends and innovations. Be at the center of access, where today's titans of industry spend everyday face time with students and faculty. Discover the center of convergence, where finance, fashion, media, healthcare, high-tech, and all industries intersect. Join the center of community, where high achievers the world over share an open exchange of ideas and perspectives. Dream at the center of entrepreneurship, where an Ivy League business degree gives you entree to the world's fastest-growing startup environment. And reach the center of global impact, where a network of over 40,000 alumni are creating real change across the planet. The very center of business, where all potential converges, where chances for success revolve all around, a place you just won't find anywhere else. Come, find yourself here, at the very center of business. Columbia Business School.
Live streaming from Columbia Business School in New York City. I'm Lorraine Lee. Welcome back to the second panel of Columbia China Business Conference. China's healthcare industry has been growing rapidly in recent years. The COVID-19 pandemic has drawn further attention to the healthcare industry. Today, we've invited a panel of leading industry experts, Mr. Han Yusheng, Mr. James Zhao, and Ms. Roberta Lipson, to discuss about the future of healthcare in China. Mr. Han Yusheng is the founder and the CEO of Burning Rock Biotech, a NASDAQ-listed leading Chinese player in next-generation sequencing technology in the field of precision oncology. Mr. Han is a proud Columbia Business School alumnus and graduated with an MBA in 2011. Ms. Roberta Lipson is the founder and the CEO of United Family Healthcare and the CEO of New Frontier Health. With over 40 years of experience as the pioneer in China's healthcare industry, Ms. Lipson has grew United Family Healthcare into China's first and largest foreign invested healthcare system. Last but not least, Mr. James Zhao is the founding partner of LYFE Capital, a global healthcare investment platform with over $1.3 billion under management. With over 20 years of experience in the life science field, Mr. Zhao has led LYFE Capital in investing in over 40 industry-defining companies. Mr. Zhao will be the moderator for us today. Mr. Zhao, please unmute yourself and take it away.
Thank you, Lorraine, and thank you, CBS team, for having me on this panel. My first question actually go to Roberta. Roberta, actually I know you for a long time. Your name is very familiar to all the Chinese hospital service. You were alumni from CBS from '78 and come to China in '79. Probably you were very few Lao Wai, in China back to 40 years ago. So please, elaborate on the Chinese healthcare industry at that time. So from your point of view, what are the big difference of the industry between 80s, 90s, and now? You have been built up the United Family Healthcare, the first, foreign hospital chain in 1997. So what were the biggest opportunity for you, back to, late 90s?
Yeah, so I'd like to start with talking a little bit about how incredibly far healthcare in China has come since I arrived in 1979. So from 1979 till now, life expectancy increased by 11 years, from 66 years to 78 years. Maternal and infant mortality is about 1/10 at what it was in 1979. And at the time, there was virtually no insurance coverage for most of the Chinese population. And now over 98% of the Chinese population has some kind of social insurance coverage for their health care. So when I arrived in 1979, I arrived with my MBA from Columbia in my pocket and a huge interest in healthcare and what was going on in China at the time. And so I'll never forget the first time I walked into a Chinese public hospital. It was the Air Force Central Hospital in Beijing. And it, first of all, was a big deal for a foreigner to even be invited inside that institution. But what I was absolutely shocked about was there was no new, even at that very premier institution in Beijing, there was no new technology, no hardware that was newer than sort of pre-liberation times. So there were some very old X-ray machines, some Russian X-ray machines, some old GE refrigerators, and very little else. So the entrepreneur in me realized that this was a huge opportunity, not only possibly to build a business, but also to make a real difference by bringing new technology to China. So over the first 10 years of our company, at the time it was called Chindex International, we helped China to import some of the first real-time ultrasound, the first central monitoring systems, first MR, and later on first surgical robots, along with many other firsts. So for 10 years, we built this distribution company, which became the largest medical equipment distribution company for imported products. And since we've sold that company to Fosun. Anyway, by about 1990, it was pretty clear that what China needed was more than just hardware. At the time, there were very few private hospitals and no international healthcare services available at all. There were only some private healthcare players in China, which some of you might be familiar with, were mostly this kind of Putian system of hospitals that started out as clinics for STDs, where someone might get a more private approach to curing their sexually transmitted diseases, or maybe a cheaper approach. But at the time, those hospitals were never considered places people would go by choice if they had other options. Now, after these 20-something years, 22 years, private hospitals account for over 50% of healthcare institutions in China, albeit they only care for a little over 20% of the patients. And although healthcare has become big business, it's still very hampered, at least private healthcare is still quite hampered by policy limitations, a high tax rate, and unequal access to government subsidies and social insurance reimbursement. So we've seen some huge changes, mostly for the better, and they're changes that allowed us to build a pretty big platform. Now we have 9 hospitals, 14 clinics. We're present in almost every East Coast first-tier city, and we're still growing.
Thank you so much, Roberta. And also, my next question to Yusheng. Yusheng, we have been knowing each other for almost 10 years, right? Also, it's our first time to have like a e-meeting. I still remember, back to 2014, Actually back to 2013, when you talk about the paper-based company, Burning Rock, as really like a paper-based, we talk about, future. So if you think about right now, you think about, in the past 10 years, what has been the great opportunity or change have been experienced in the past 10 years? Also, if you would take a step back to 2013 or 14, when you start Burning Rock, even on paper-based, so what were the largest opportunity you experienced and you saw?
Well, thanks for asking, and very nice to meet Roberta here. When I saw the year that you come to China, I was really shocked. I was born in 1978, so just 1 year old, you came here. So really amazing. And yeah, back to James' question. So when I graduated from Columbia, actually I got my full-time offer from Northern Light Venture Capital in 2010 when I finished a summer intern there. And to my understanding, if you look backward, it was at that time that the healthcare investment really started in China. Before that, we did have some investment for healthcare, but basically that's called me too or me better. When we call me better, usually that's me worse. And there's some copycat medical devices companies in China doing similar things of what the leading players in the global market was doing. From 2011, if we say to now, in the past 10 years, we have seen the real creation in China, because we have seen many segment markets, many areas that the innovation started at the same time. In both U.S. And China. For example, gene sequencing, gene editing, neuroscience, these things, and also about all these pharmaceutical companies dealing with cancers and other diseases. They really start at the same line. The startups in U.S. and China. And from 2010, we have seen that venture capital started to be very interested in the area and start and continuously to invest in this area. So that is why we see that this healthcare market in China is booming that fast. And I have to say that is all based on let's back to 20 or 25 years ago. When we chose the major of our undergraduate, we were told that 21st century was the century of biology, and we all know that's a lie. But we didn't realize at that time. When we graduated, we could not find a job, so most of the excellent students with a biology major went to U.S. and for PhD. And then doing R&D in pharmaceutical companies or biotech companies. And it was 10 years ago that they realized that the market and the capital market and the technology and the experience has been mature, and they came back to China to start their own business. So that is what I observed in the past 10 years. And in terms of opportunity, I would say that there's a lot of opportunities. Almost every segment market, the newcomers and the innovations around the country. So not limited to the industry that I chose. I just chose one industry that I think I fit most. Yeah. So but since James, we have known each other for such a long time, I might ask you some question. The same question is, when you returned to China and invested, when did you return China, invested in the healthcare industry? And what is the most impressive industry change you observed? and what made you started LYFE Capital?
Yeah, thank you so much, Yusheng, for your question. So actually, I was fortunate to be one of the early dedicated healthcare investor in 2005. And before 2015, China was really closed. I call reservoir, focused on really on API, like raw material, like generic drug manufacturing. Also, first to market, small molecular generic play, right? There was no innovation, no talent, but the opportunity was there. But because of no water flowing, the fish were very small with very large one, every now and then. But in 2015, the year I set up LYFE Capital, I strongly sense there will be a great opportunity, a large inflow and outflow of water into the reservoir, opening to the rest part of the world with a gate open. We now have a very like a salmon fish laying eggs and attracting other resource. The largest change being in increasing inflow of capital, talent, innovation, regulation, also the whole ecosystem start with a trickle. We knew the market was ready to make a change, to do it, then had to prepare beforehand. So that's the reason, we started LYFE Capital in 2015. It's more like seeing the light and the tunnel.
Yeah, very impressive. And I know that LYFE has been very successful in the past several years.
Yeah, thanks. This, we back up, Burning Rock, 8 rounds, and we're still like a second largest shareholder for Burning Rock. In Chinese words means in 20 the full, we make a great return based on your success. Yeah, I think, by the way, thanks for your question, Yusheng. As I mentioned, you were like only 1 year old, when Roberta come to China for, call her journey to China, right? To the east part of the world. I have one question for you, Roberta, as we have experienced the very fast or very rapid growth of the China healthcare industry, of course, China right now is the second largest, market in the world. You are founding partner of the United Family. Also, you built a very big, prestigious brand in China. Do you think, you've accomplished your goal or meet your expectation when you started your business back to 78? Also, for United Family, do you think right now the United Family, you build like a role model or role platform, among all the China healthcare, service provider, and why? Also, do you have any guidance to, other international player? They want to come to China for healthcare service opportunities. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for the question, James. Frankly, I didn't have any idea what the end game would be. I saw a need in 78 and 79 for medical hardware, and it was really, really fulfilling to be able to bring these tools to Chinese clinicians and scientists. And that was a pretty cool thing. And then when we saw the need change in the early 90s, I thought we could fill a need. I thought we could bring new models of care to China. And frankly, I had no idea there was going to be much of a market beyond the international community. So when we started our first hospital, it was teeny small, 36 rooms, some 40 nurses, about 16 physicians. So we had no idea where it was going to go, very frankly. And for the first few years, really our market was 98% expatriates. But when Chinese people started coming back from the US, folks that were going to the US to study experienced something different in healthcare and came back with a good income. Slowly but surely, Chinese people started coming to our hospital and appreciating the the difference in care and the difference in service from the public system. So now, 22 years later, after we opened our first hospital, our size and scope far exceeds anything I could have originally envisioned. As I mentioned, we have 9 hospitals, going on 10 this year. We just opened our 9th. We have many standalone clinics throughout the cities in which we operate. And we have a market cap of $1.5 billion US. So yes, I have to admit that it far exceeds anything I had planned on. At the same time, I think there's still plenty of unmet demand for unique premium service offerings, both in the locations that we're in now, as well as perhaps other first-tier and first-and-a-half-tier cities around China. So you asked, what do I think about this model? Is it what I was hoping for? Is it where I want to be? And is there an opportunity to bring more foreign healthcare to China? So I'm really proud of what we've developed. It's a hospital platform that provides full life cycle care with seamless services across the whole platform, from our community clinics to our acute care hospitals to our rehab and home health services. So recently, during the pandemic, in fact, we even expanded our online services and have just been recently granted a license for a full internet hospital, which will allow us to reach patients far beyond even the cities that we're located in. So we've also begun working together with private insurance in a risk-sharing model, which allows us to be rewarded for good preventative care, in addition to only providing reactive care when patients fall ill. So a system that actually incorporates more of this kind of medical home, HMO style service is closer to my ideal. And we are moving in that direction and getting closer all the time. So our model has succeeded not because we wholesale imported an existing international model from the US or elsewhere, but rather we grew our model organically as we developed, incorporating best practices from the West with the reality of the evolving Chinese market, Chinese cultural preferences, and the local regulatory regime. This has taken us over 20 years, and it's still evolving. So in terms of opportunity for more Western healthcare providers, service providers to come to the market, I think there is opportunity. I think that it's definitely a problem, or it definitely, anybody that comes thinking they can just plop down a Western model in China will certainly fail. And we have seen some folks trying and failing because they haven't been able to integrate. So at the same time, one needs to offer an offering that's sufficiently differentiated and different from the public hospitals, which, by the way, are becoming better all the time, and has to offer it in a way that's not only acceptable but preferable for Chinese clientele.
Yeah, thank you, Roberta. Actually, as a client of United Family Hospital, our whole family really appreciate, you guys set a very high standard of quality in China. Also, the most important thing, I use a very popular word, actually, you set up very high international benchmark for the whole China healthcare service providers. So actually, regarding to, let's switch back to Yusheng. If, Roberta set up very high standard of a benchmark of quality service to the China hospital service. Back to Burning Rock, You still recall our first dinner back to 2013. We were talking about, how we benchmark, the burning rock with other international player. At that time, we were talking about foundation medicine. We're also talking about, the grill or the garden health. So I actually talk about, strategic movement in early days of the burning rock setup. So actually, you are very successful, CEO. You took the burning rock to very set up a high level of the quantity. You build up the benchmark for China-based NGS player, how they play in this field. But if you compare with the international player, like a Grill, Garden Health, even early days of foundation medicine, so what are burning rocks' strong competitive advantage? How can you leverage your experience, you're growing in China, and to become a global platform company? I think this is one of the most popular questions. The two of us, we are keeping talking about how we build up burning rock to be a global one.
Yeah, thanks for asking, James. Actually, it's a very interesting one because when we were founded, we thought we might be able to do something similar to what Foundation Medicine was doing in US, doing NGS testing for from FFPE samples, and then in 2014 to 2015, we observed that there's many topics going on about liquid biopsy. And we thought that it might be a good area to explore. So we started the R&D effort there. And then, quite interesting. I don't know why, because Foundation Medicine at the very beginning of liquid biopsy was very against that technology, and they kept talking about only FFPE samples was reliable. And now we know that they have liquid biopsy, but they really missed the market and gave Garden Health a lot of opportunity at that time. And we all know that Garden Health was quite successful doing liquid biopsy in terms of companion diagnostic. And probably there were 2 or 3 years that Garden Health focused on liquid biopsy and Foundation Medicine focused on FFP samples. And we were doing both. The only, probably the main reason is that we thought that if there's a market, we should go for it. And the good thing for China is that our CDO came back from US, and most of our key members of R&D came back from US. They had their education and working experience here. So I think they're very good talent, and at the same time, in China, the doctors were keen to explore new technology to treat their patients. So with the collaboration with Chinese doctors, actually our technology really developed very fast. So I can give you one example that to show that we're not just claiming doing both of these things. We're really good at that. So probably next week, Nature Biotechnology will have a paper article published that is organized by US FDA as a QC2 study. Our liquid biopsies quality in terms of sensitivity, specificity, and repeatability. I would say that probably are all the best among the comparison with our peers globally. So that's a quite exciting news for us. But you remember, that's a technology 2 years ago. So, and then in 2017, we started the R&D effort for early detection. At that time, probably that's a thing that I regret most, that I didn't do the standalone company, and instead of that, I developed that in Burning Rock. And at that time we really didn't have the budget of Grail had. So we started from small scale experiment focused on methylation, targeted methylation. And with over around 5 years development, the data we have accumulated is really among one of the best in the world. And we have the result published in ESMO Asia last year. So if you ask me why we can compete globally with those players, I would say that if you look at the technology and product we have, Burning Rock has, as a combination of foundation medicine, garden health, and Grail. That's not to say that our market cap is the same of the combination of the three, because U.S. market is juicy, it's quite different from China market. But from product wide, I think our product line can really compete with the top players in the international market. And we keep investing a lot of money into R&D every year. So if you look at our financial report, you will realize that every year the probably at least 50% increase in the past several years. And last year probably doubled, I remember. And in the I think in the future we're still going to invest heavily in early detection and also MRD. So MRD is another very hot market that people are pursuing, and so probably in that market we're going to have a product compete with another segment of the peers in US. So in China, we have to do that, because without a whole product line from early detection to cancer companion diagnostic, you cannot win the competition with the business with hospitals. So every hospital likes one-stop solution, and if we can provide that to them, and that can make us survive and thrive. And another thing I think for our competitive advantage is that at the very beginning, in US people are doing central lab model. In China, that we have to do the in-hospital model, and that makes our product more suitable to export as a product line instead of just service. So I think for global expansion, product is much easier to export than services. So that's another key factor. I think we have the advantage. Well, the deeper side of the advantage is the culture, but that's a long talk. I don't want to go very deep to that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Yusheng. Actually, Roberta, actually, you have very, based on my understanding, your message, you are building a high quality of service, to build out your competitive advantage. Yusheng, Burning Rock, you are keeping investing in technology, next generation of the product to build up your high entry barrier and the first move and competitive advantage. But but this is more like a history, right? You guys have done very good, historically. But looking forward, what kinds of change where Chinese focus on high tech development bring to the healthcare industry? I think to answer this question, I think for three of us, so any one of us, we have any thought or input, we can just jump on. What will be the future, the technology trend? Yusheng, you want to take a? Sorry, are you asking my question? Because yeah, well, I think basically Burning Rock make heavily investment in technology. So what's your view about the future trend? So what kinds of change where Chinese focus on high tech development bring to the healthcare industry, generally speaking? Generally, I would think that not only healthcare
new technology in healthcare, such as gene sequencing or gene editing. But probably that's more sensitive. I would say that for many new areas of technologies, China is never lack of innovation. So the education we had, this generation, as not to my father's generation, at that time they didn't have the experience of contacting or learning technologies, but this generation really had the opportunity to contact the most advanced technology in the world. So I was saying that innovation and creation will continue in China. And we will see that we have seen that in many new areas, actually the innovation from China actually can compete with the best players globally. And I would say that the trend will continue. And at the end, the innovation of technology will benefit people all around the world.
Yeah, thanks. I think I have one very interesting question to Roberta, right? I think part of this will also be very interesting question from audience as well. Also my curiosity as well. Regarding, hospital service industry or your segment, what kinds of technology are you paying the most attention to nowadays? What kinds of opportunity can this industry bring?
Right. So from a technology perspective, I think we can separate it into new clinical technologies, which of course the China market is hungry for all kinds of personalized medicine and all the wonderful things that come out of gene sequencing and but also we can talk a little bit about technology for healthcare delivery. So I think that's been somewhat accelerated as a result of the pandemic. So during the pandemic, many hospitals were closed. I'm very happy to say that none of our hospitals actually were closed at any point, but there was a great concern for people to access their healthcare providers because people always thought of hospitals as a place to get COVID and tried to stay away. So very quickly, many providers went online, and we did as well. So as our in-person patient visits took a nosedive for the first quarter of last year, we very quickly corralled resources to put consultations online. And in fact, of the some 750 internet hospitals that now formally exist in China, about 45% of them were established during the pandemic. So it's very interesting that need drove healthcare service providers to a more intensive technological way of delivering services. So that's one thing. The other interesting thing, well, of course, AI in terms of decision support, that's something that I think will be very well accepted in China, that the country's recognizing the need, the government recognizes the need, including in the new 14th five-year plan, for getting more primary care doctors to a wider population. That means rural population as well as in the cities, to empower primary care clinics and primary care doctors. And I think that eventually we'll find that the use of artificial intelligence for decision support is the thing that makes that finally successful. So China's had a really hard time getting people to trust in primary care. They built lots of community clinics and people didn't go because they were being staffed by undertrained primary care physicians. So I think that there'll be an effort to train up more and more primary care physicians. But I think if we combine that with artificial intelligence decision support, that there'll be possibility of success much more quickly. I also wanted to mention, I thought of, in addition to the pandemic accelerating service providers to go online, I think it also, just like it happened similarly in SARS, that having this kind of healthcare crisis confronting everybody in the country caused people to think differently about healthcare and caused demand to be increased for healthcare. We're back way forward of our 2019 volumes, but so partly a consumer mind switch that, in fact, our health is so precious, we need to take care of it. And as a result of that, I think we've seen more and more people interested in purchasing commercial health insurance. So also we saw a huge increase in commercial health insurance revenues in 2020. It grew some 17% compared to other, for example, life insurance that only grew 5% in the year. So I think we've seen a shift both in a realization of what kind of new technologies can be used to deliver healthcare, as well as an interesting consumer shift as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also, actually, before we start this conversation, the organizer asked me one question. Also, they want to get my point of view as an investor, how the technology evolving will be impact on people's daily life, not only in China but for globally. What will be a future trend? I want to share my 2 cents with the audience. Actually, before we before we earning a big change of the movement of the healthcare or technology, when we're talking about drug, we probably only talk about chemical drug, right? But right now, we see a huge change of a biotech movement has been provided huge opportunity or tremendous opportunities. But the most important thing is that we think about big picture is how fast we can provide the efficacy and the safety of the new treatment, how fast we can launch the new treatment, and how the insurance player will play their part. So now we need to to see how we leverage the worldwide resource to have much higher quality and higher efficacy and a better choice, also better solution. Also, the most important thing is that better affordable to bring down to the social burden. So that is something we call doing well by doing good. I think that's my point of view about how technology evolving will make an impact on people's daily life. Roberta, actually in my last question, you mentioned twice, if my number counting is right, regarding COVID-19 impact, right? I know everybody since January of the last year, our whole life has been changed. The country has been locked down. I assume you have been staying in Shanghai for a long time. You have not fly out out of Shanghai. Based on your perspective, what is the big impact? COVID-19 in your part of the industry. But for this question, I think I want to three of us we share our view, also our thought with audience one by one. I think this will be one of the question, the audience want to get our thought.
So first of all, I have to say that, yes, our life changed in 2020, but I think for those of us who were in China, we feel extremely lucky that things were brought up under control so quickly. And we've really lived a very normal life, except for the challenge of traveling across borders. We've really lived a very normal life. And part of the reason that we were able to live a normal life was, I think, the government's very intelligent use of technology. So our health kits. How wonderful are they? I just marvel at the fact that the U.S. is now talking about a vaccine passport, and people are saying, "Oh, that will be so invasive of our personal lives, and perhaps it's a really bad idea." And but we've been living with this marvelous little piece of technology, which has allowed us to know that when we enter a public space, it's relatively safe. So I think that's one reflection that I have, and I only wish that people in the rest of the world could appreciate the usefulness of being able to do epidemiological tracing very quickly and very accurately by using that kind of technology, because whether it's for this epidemic of COVID or some other future epidemic, I'm really praying that the whole world can make use of the lessons that we've learned this time around. So the other, I think, technological standout for our COVID year has been the speed at which vaccines have been developed. And that's something that, you know, maybe those are also lessons that we can take away, that perhaps medical discovery and drug discovery, vaccine development doesn't need to take quite as long as it had been taking. So yeah, that's another area that I've thought about. Yeah, so we've gotten through this year, I think, really pretty well, and I reflect on lessons that that will stay with me, and I hope stay with the rest of the world, about using technology to reach out closer to our patients, to go the last mile from our clinic to the patient's home, use of IoT devices to also bring the patients closer to us, and frankly speaking, I think one of the reasons that China and my company got through this year as unscathed, relatively unscathed as we were, is that we all had lessons that we took from our SARS experience. So yeah, the rest of the world did a lot better than China did during SARS. We suffered a lot, but we learned a lot, and we took those lessons with us. And I think that one of the worst things about a crisis like this COVID pandemic would be to leave it and leave the lessons behind. So that's my thoughts on the pandemic.
Yeah, thanks. Also, you know, COVID, 2020, COVID-19 year was a very special year for Burning Rock as well, right? Yusheng, you want to help share your experience, also your takeaway message from COVID-19?
So yeah, for the investors concerned, yeah, you know that the first half year really the business dropped dramatically because all the hospitals were shut down. And I think that that's only one side. So the other side will see that when hospitals were shut down, what happened to the patients that cannot be cured in time? So that is the thing that we were really worried about. And from our observation, we thought that COVID-19 should pass away quite just as the SARS, as Roberta said. Yeah, it was true that in China, there's a similar timelines of SARS, but we didn't expect that expand to globally. And what shocked us was that, I mean, the other countries didn't control the pandemic that well. So in terms of the second half year, I know for everything almost get back to normal. So for the China business was for us, it was quite normal. Everything's getting back. But the disadvantage is that we planned to expand globally. And suddenly the COVID-19 came, and we could not fly to any country. So we withdraw our offers from Japan, Brazil, etc. So the lucky thing for us is that before the pandemic, we have already found our core team in US. So the good thing is that the US lab was set up successfully. And yeah, so probably our global expansion plan was delayed, I think at least 2 years. So that's a bad part for the COVID-19. The other things, we were planned to be public in first at the end of February in 2020, and when the COVID came, the stock market really shocked us, but what makes us shocked again is that it climbed up so quickly. And as we have already prepared to be listed, we became the first NGS oncology company from China listed in US. Yeah, so that's quite, drama. So I don't know how to describe last year. It was really everything is out of our expectation, no matter the bad things or the good things. Yeah, that's basically what we experience.
Yeah, also, in addition to your comments, Yusheng, I can share with the audience, probably you were the very first batch of the company went through the process of the, virtual listing, right? On NASDAQ. I still take your ring check. You invite me to be part of your, on the podium of the listing. But turned out to be like a virtual one. But anyway, you become very successful public trading company last year. Congratulations. So from my point of view, when we talk about COVID-19 years, it was a really extremely busy year for all the investor, healthcare investor. But, we take, from my point of view, when we talk about the global healthcare response, it doesn't matter if you are like American, Chinese, or, Japanese. We really want to focus on how to leverage the global resource or global healthcare, network. How to leverage KOL guidance to allow nations, all the nations to be on the same page of the fight with the disease. There is a new level of the healthcare urgency. If you really want me to deep dive, which sector or which segment, I really pay attention to, I still something associated with the COVID-19 situation. For instance, if we think about the opportunity like a PCR traditionally has a multiple room for a very complicated setup. In the United States, you may receive like a result by 22 hours turnaround time, but with very higher demand for faster food automated sample in and sample out, high throughput product. This get a lot of attention. Say, hey, can we get any opportunity? We have an easy setup, fully automated one. We can make a very quick turnaround, less than 1 hour. So this is we see opportunity from China part in China for global for this type of penetration. So this way for investor we also strongly sense that where is the opportunity, how we find a great entrepreneur and we make a backup. So generally speaking, this impact, fast response, safe, efficacy, also approachable, good point of access, or the most important thing is affordabilities. So that's my key takeaway message from COVID-19's impact on us. Also, the opportunity for making investment.
Another impact for you is that you were locked in US for a long time.
Yeah, right. But anyway, thank you. So I think we have very good information sharing regarding the COVID-19 impact on us, right? The company also making investment. But most importantly, I think I also got a question about how the healthcare industry is really, really unique. Not only say, hey, we receive the attention. I mean, China healthcare industry receive attention with a lot of capital inflow in the past few years. Also, the science or technology development take a much longer time and the cycle to produce the great outcome, in the end. People ask me in daily life, for healthcare industry, what's my view about relationship between the capital and the industry? Is there any like a uniqueness associated with healthcare industry regarding capital inflow or an outcome? So generally speaking, I share my view. Given we have only 30 minutes left, I'll try to be more precisely and concisely for this very important question. It's actually, of course, capital play a very important, role in the healthcare industry, but it require very deep scientific and business understanding. So looking at all the company require a cycle of systematically and data-based risk evaluation approach to determine the success of the company. So under any circumstance, there will always be great deals to be done. It's how to find the diamond in the rough. Like, we've identified, Yusheng back to 2014 and like diamond in the rough. And more capital means more opportunity. So I think my view would be capital means opportunity. So any reason, do you have any down regarding, or Roberta doing any down regarding the association between the capital and the healthcare sectors?
Maybe after Roberta.
Yes. So you mentioned the long development cycle for drugs and biotech in general. And so it's not so different with healthcare services, because you build a bricks and mortar hospital. A new hospital takes time not only to build, to license, but also to build its reputation and become profitable. It takes quite a long time, and not everybody succeeds. So perhaps from that perspective, it's not so different. I think that capital in healthcare has to be very patient and has to be ready to not win every time. And has to be more interested in my opinion, more interested in bringing capital to do good things for mankind than necessarily in the absolute highest return. So I think that the more, that's my opinion. And perhaps Yusheng, you have something else that you want to add?
Yeah, I totally agree that healthcare investor needs to be patient. But to be honest, Roberta, I cannot imagine that how you can be so patient when you started your business. I mean, there must be some mission. It's driven by some mission you have. So for the investor today, I think they do not need that much patience compared to the investors 10 years ago, because now we have U.S. market to be listed, the opportunity, and also have Hong Kong 18A rules for the new pharmaceutical or new biotech companies to be listed. And also in China, we have the Ke. So there's many exit possibilities that make both the entrepreneurs and investors that they don't need to wait for the profit to come out to be listed. And especially for investor, James, you had enjoyed that very much. So many companies listed last year. I would say that this is really a good time. The talents and the talent and the technology, and also the capital market, we are much more ready than 10 years ago. I could not imagine the situation nowadays 10 years ago when I joined Northern Light. And at that time, I didn't see many really innovation, and the capital market is there was very few healthcare specialist funds, and also we could not see the exit possibility for most of the companies that we wanted to invest. So these 10 years really make the whole industry change a lot.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, Yusheng, you just mentioned, Hong Kong 18A, also Shanghai Stock Board, right? Also, I think one question for Roberta, also I want to answer this question as well, is actually in the past years, Chinese capital market continue to open and evolve. For instance, 2018, we had a Hong Kong biotech board called 18A. And last year, we officially launched, actually 2 years ago, we officially launched the Shanghai Star Board. How could that bring new opportunity for the China or Chinese healthcare industry? So you just light touch the point. So Roberta, what's your view about opportunity associated with the open or transformation of the China healthcare, China capital market?
So I think our historical experience is also super interesting. So our company IPO'd in 1994, at which time when we were thinking about building our first hospital, and we IPO'd on NASDAQ. And basically we had no choice because there was nobody financing us from anywhere else. And there were no China options. And so we did this really somewhat irrational IPO. It was way too small and way too early in our development and on the wrong market. So unfortunately, we didn't have other options, but so we spent actually until 2016 as a public company on NASDAQ. And finally, I mean, for a while, we had recognized the fact that it was really a shame because no American investors had ever heard of private healthcare in China, and certainly never heard of United Family. And whereas we were realizing that if we had an Asian listing, all of our patients would be our potential investors. And and even investors that weren't our patients had heard of our brand by then. So we really, I think we're getting a bad valuation in the US. And so in 2016, together with TPG and Fosun, we delisted and privatized. And we went through a 4-year period with them. It was really interesting. It was a huge change having PE, having a board and private equity that actually lived in the same city as we did. And it had its great benefits and also its challenges because they, I think at the same time, understood the opportunity that we had and also understood some of the challenges in a more firsthand way. And they were people with different backgrounds that brought interesting and good ideas to the company. And their cycle came to an end last year, and we were looking at various options of perhaps righting past wrongs and looking at a Hong Kong listing. And the timing ended up being right, I guess fortunately, but ironically, we ended up on a SPAC back on the New York Stock Exchange. So once again, with the investor base that perhaps doesn't fully understand the opportunity. So together with our investors and basically our new owners, New Frontier, we've just made a proposal to the board only 1 year after our New York Stock Exchange listing to privatize again, to delist. And obviously, with the full understanding that perhaps an Asian listing might make more sense for a company like ours. So we've been through really very interesting transitions and had lots of interesting revelations. But coming back to the question about what are the opportunities from a capital markets perspective for healthcare companies, well, I think for all entrepreneurs in China, the opportunities are huge and the choices are huge, and so many different markets to consider based on the size, the level of maturity of the company. And so I think it's a great time for entrepreneurs to be thinking about developing and where to get capital and what's the best options for capital.
Thank you.
I just want to share my feeling that in the past several years as an entrepreneur in China, it feels like let there be light, and there was light. So it was just like that feeling. So when you need something, there must be some resource that you can find, no matter it's talent or technology or capital, or even policy. The government is keeping more and more open about the policy. So even the regulation policy is getting better and better. So it was an amazing 7 years in my experience.
Yeah, in addition to Yusheng, you mentioned really like a regulation has been changed a lot, right? The policy has been changed a lot. Also, in addition to your point, actually, as I mentioned earlier, the whole reservoir is no longer a closed system. Is opening up quicker and quicker, and no matter your CEO or the investor, we have more salmon fish swimming upstream and laying eggs, which will coming back and more and lay egg more, right? So as a CEO or investor, we have to have an open mind and capture right talent, right product, right strategy. The Shanghai Stock Board or Hong Kong Board are like it's more like option, right? Just be open mind. No matter NASDAQ listing or Stock Board listing or Hong Kong listing, this just one of your choice. It's one of your choice or one of the alternative for new paths to have liquidity in a great return for investor and the entrepreneurs. With the investment come with a talent pool, and the kind of talent is the most important thing. You have a lot of experience with a great idea and a further resource to realize the dream of being success. So that's my comment or sharing about the capital market. Also, we have one question for you. I know Roberta mentioned in early days of the setting up the company in China. It's hard for her to, fundraising, go through the process. I know from 2013 when you started a company, Burning Rock, you have gone through like a C round of fundraising, and then all the way to IPO. And I know there are a lot of audience. They also, they want to set up their own companies. Is there any information or 2 cents for sharing? How did you pick up the investor and partners? What do you most value the most? How do you make a decision? Which firm or which investor you will go with? What's the selection criteria?
Yeah, I think that in the future there will be more and more our alumni started their own company, and if you focus on healthcare, welcome to James. So
thank you for.
Yeah, no, that's kidding, but also the truth. When I started my company, actually the fundraising environment was really not that good as nowadays. even if I was the I was the investor on that side of the table, and I knew a lot of investors in this in China, and when I talked to them, telling them that I wanted to start a company doing big data for NGS oncology, I would say that 99% of the investors didn't know what I was talking about. Well, to be honest, I was not exactly sure what I was talking about at that time. Just a concept, an idea, a direction. And when I talked to over 30 investors, I think probably just 2 investors realized that could be a future. Because if you look at the pipelines of the pharmaceutical companies, there's targeting drugs that need us to test probably over 60 genes in different type of variants in the future. So there must be a big market. And but that's only a concept. When I talk to the investor, they will say that nowadays we only have EGFR and ALK to be tested. So later on, I have to switch my original plan from RMB fundraising to US dollar fundraising, because it's really tough to talk to the RMB investors at that time. And in terms of how to choose the investor, I would say that there's several reasons, several lessons I have learned. The first thing is I never believe in the high value term sheet if that's not a first tier investors. I mean, their reputation, or we can say if they don't have a very good reputation, don't believe in any high valuation they gave you. So usually they will withdraw that and keep taking the price down. So always find the most reliable investors in the market that you can find. If you want to have an experience of talking to investors, you can try those investors at the very, very beginning. So don't try the best investor at the very beginning. Keep the best 10, probably after you talk to over 20, and you can start to talk to the top 10. So at that time, you have accumulated enough experience how to negotiate with investors and what they care about. And they can also help you to polish your story, in the discussion with them. And that even so, after talking to the over 20, when it really touch the top 10, you will still realize that they really know nothing about you. And that's a quite common situation. Even like James, you have a new technology, you come to James, hey, I have a very exciting technology I want to share with you. And James will look like, yeah, very good. So would you mind to explaining again? So there's a quite common situation in the market, because all the investors, they kept learning. They are not experts of every industry, every segment. So it's quite natural that they don't understand your business model. They don't understand your technology part. It is your responsibility to make the story easy to understand by the investors. So that's another lesson I learned. And the third lesson I learned is that don't be scared if you have nothing. So I started the business with really nothing, just except an idea. So when I started the company, there was, can you imagine a high-tech company? Actually, at that time, we didn't have any scientists in our team. So my first goal was to find the best scientists in the world. So don't be scared to find any talent that you want to touch. Just find the best one and lobby them to join your team. So if you have something you feel excited, just go for it. If you lack of money, go for James. If you lack of technology, go to whatever big companies maybe have the technology and talk to their scientists and to get them into your company, to influence them by your passion, your vision, your decision to make the business great in the future. And yeah, so there'll be a lot of other things, but in terms of time, I just shared 3 points of that.
But anyway, giving you already mentioned, the new technology, probably when everybody talk about new technology, in the very beginning, very confusing to all the people, right, including investors.
Yeah, exactly.
You trigger one question from audience. I have to take this question, very interesting one for you. So, where do you think about China lagging behind the U.S. in clinical diagnostic space?
I mean, in what segment China is lagging behind?
It's particularly for clinical diagnostic space. What do you think China lagging behind? US?
I think for POCT, I think that many actually still a lot of spaces we need to catch up with, especially when we target an area of I don't know how to say 精密制造怎么说?
Okay, just continue.
Okay. So I don't know how to say that, but
manufacturing.
what manufacturer?
Precision.
I don't know. That's probably not that. Just like the chips and the sequencer. That's a whole supply chain that U.S. have accumulated so many years. It's not a thing that we can catch up with one day or 1 year. So we still need a lot of accumulation to reach that level. For new areas, especially for application areas, that we have the fundamental things to leverage. I think we at least can do as good as the other players around the world is doing. Yeah, so for many, as Roberta said, precision manufacturer, we still need time to catch up. And for like, that's for IVD. And so if you look at that, probably the POCT is one part, and sequencer is one part, and AI, probably AI diagnostic, probably we are not that lagging behind, but still the AI application for diagnostics now only on very shallow level of the whole industry, and was still not that mature. But we can see that that's getting more and more promising.
Great. I think we have only also, 10. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
When we talk about IVD, I think that is.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Yusheng. We have only 10 minutes left. We have to counting down. So I have my last question. I want to get three of us input for people they want to set up their own business or startup in China, particularly for healthcare industry, also for early stage company. So any suggestion for the new CEO or new team to form their own strategy and raise the capital? Is there any suggestion from the two CEOs?
Oh. Yeah.
I think that it's definitely challenging, and there's a long road to be had for a new entrepreneur. So you'd better bring your passion. You'd better be very, very committed and ready for a long haul and ready to work yourself really hard and be super tired for a few years or a few tens of years. And I think that you'd better bring your passion. I think it might be. It might be a bit different in healthcare services than in biotechnology, but I think there's still plenty of opportunity, huge opportunity for smart people with lots of passion, given the fact that there's a much larger talent pool now in China, both managerial and technical, and broader availability of capital. I think what the entrepreneur has to bring is really good idea and huge passion to carry it through.
Yeah, so my suggestion is that prepare yourself well in every perspective, and also at the same time stay hungry and stay foolish. So nowadays being an entrepreneur is quite exciting compared when Roberta started her business that time. And let's make it simple is that if you win, all the achievements is yours. And if you lose, so that means James lost his money. So yeah, so that is say that in nowadays market, the market is really more tolerant than before. So the total market encourage you to be creative, to be innovative, and but at the same time, if you want to, you can finally survive and to be successful in the long run. You have to prepare very well, no matter in vision and also your network and your determination. An entrepreneur, to be honest, as Roberta said, it was not fun probably after 3 years. So from the year 1 to year 3, you were super excited. And after 3 years, with the company growing bigger, and there's a lot of problems need you to solve. So only when you have a fully commitment and determination and know your vision, know your mission very clearly, you can continue. So yeah, so probably I would not suggest everybody to start their own business. To be honest, that's a bad idea. Most of the people will regret. But when you start, you want to start your own business, you should ask this question: if I don't go with this direction, should I regret in the future? So my answer, if my answer was that yes, I will regret, so I will go for it no matter what. That is my standard of choosing being an entrepreneur or not.
Yeah, thanks. Also, from my point of view, I can answer this question from 2 dimensions. One dimension is as an investor. From my point of view, if you are looking at any suggestion for a new CEO, is you have to be global vision. Given healthcare disease has no boundary, right? No matter you're American or Chinese or Japanese, disease prevalence is the same. More things are running in sync with each other. U.S.-China regulation, capital market, and global development for clinical trials. Also, integration plugging globally means a global standard of looking at startup, particularly for healthcare. Now, meanwhile, for healthcare startup right now, if you take a recent, for instance, take a Burning Rock, for instance, if only like in China for China right now, nowadays, probably will be not very interesting or fun topic, right now, given, based on current dynamic or evolving of the China healthcare industry. Also, there's a lot of pressure from the pricing cut or whatever you call terms called 集采, right? They push the company and think about out of box. How can you be in China for global? In the long run, how can you build a real tangible innovation through collaboration or in-house development? In the early days, find a partnership globally and plug in their global trial and plug in their global commercialization platform that can offset the pressure from pricing cut. From China market. So this is a part of the thing for be global thinking, global vision. The second one, you have to find a very good team. As Yusheng mentioned, I think back to 2013, Yusheng mentioned when even like a paper-based company come to my office for fundraising, I was so impressed by his vision. Also, his capability of finding people, of forming a team in early days to do fundraising. That's the most important thing. Just remember, we for all the new business model, new opportunity, we have a lot of black box, but people is not a black box there. We have a different dimension or matrix to evaluate people's capability. We want to bet the right CEO to lead this company to the next level. So this is really from my investor point of view. Also, I'm a entrepreneur as well. I set up LYFE Capital in 2015. Generally speaking, from my point of view and the startup company partner, from day one, I have very high standard, global vision. I want to position LYFE Capital to be, a great China-originated global platform company, global platform, healthcare platform, and provide, not only great investment, back up a great CEO, the meanwhile, doing well by doing good. Through back up the right CEO, right product, we can change people's the quality of life and make their life much better. Also, find a great partnership, a great team is the most important thing. This is like a long march, right? It's a long marathon. You have to find the people share the vision with you, and take a platform to the next level. Building the great company is not an overnight thing. It's a marathon. You have to go through a lot of twists and turns, but hanging there, go through the challenge timing together. You'll be there. So that will be my suggestion from as an entrepreneur as well. So that will be my suggestions. So Yusheng or Roberta, do you have any question you want to share, or you want to be take a last 3 minutes as a moderator of this panel?
Well, I'd say that one of the important things that the three of us have in common, two important things. One is a certain level of success at what we put our mind to. And the second thing is a great background from Columbia Business School. So that's worth recognizing and appreciating.
Thank you. I think I really appreciate CBS. Organize this event. Also, for LYFE Capital, we not only sponsor backup the right CEO and CBS alumni, right, to lead their success. But meanwhile, our in-house, we have 2 CBS alumni, working for a LYFE Capital platform. I'm so proud to be part of the, CBS journey.
Yeah, I just had one word. So, James, would you mind to every year you take 2 Columbia alumni for intern in your firm? That will be great, and thanks very much.
Okay, I take that's great, and that means we keeping growing our LYFE Capital platform, right? We growing our the platform, growing our coverage.
I mean, intern is fine. Intern is fine. Not necessarily fine.
I'm very glad to be part. I'm very glad to be part of the CBS journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we cannot hear you.
You are on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Han Yusheng, Ms. Roberta Lipson, and Mr. James Zhao for your insightful discussion on the future of healthcare in China. And thank you, audience around the world, for your time. On April 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and April 8th at 9 a.m. Beijing time, we'll start our 3rd session titled 30 Years of Capital Market in China, the History and the Future. We hope to see you there. Live from Columbia Business School in New York City. Good morning and good night. Thank you, audience, and thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.